I never show my face on this little channel, this place between. I usually just show you the river, and I am at the river right now. I just thought I'd tell you a bit of a thing. I named this YouTube channel This Place Between because I'm a nomad and I move around. I moved to Bourke in February. I was in Sydney in the inner west for 2 years before that. Before that I lived in Albury for 1.5 years. Before that I was travelling around Nepal and India on a Royal Enfield, as you do, and before that I was in Sri Lanka for 1 year, before that Bhutan for 1 year, and that's about the last 7 years or something. But I'm a nomad and this is what I do. I like to be in different places and put my skills to good use, and my skills essentially for work are special education, behaviour and trauma and education. So my time here in Bourke is wrapping up, and there's a little bit of sadness that comes with that, and also a little bit of longing for something different. And I have found something different. I'm going to be moving to the coast, to a community that I've always wanted to live in, and whether or not that is the next place in between or the next place for a wee while, time will only tell. I've been disappointed living in Bourke. There was a few things I wanted to do coming out here. One was work with the Aboriginal community and help other people understand intergenerational trauma and transgenerational trauma and how it affects people and communities. And I didn't really get that opportunity to do that. I was in another role, and putting trauma-informed practices wasn't part of that role, unfortunately. If only I knew before I came. And the other reason was because I have family connections here, and I really wanted to talk about the river, and I really wanted to get out here and experience what it was like to live next to the Darling River. So with that right now, I'm just going to turn this around to have a look at the weir. Now I remember 2 weeks ago it just stopped on that day falling over, it's flowing over, and here we are, we're down about another 30 centimetres, definitely nothing is flowing, and the pools behind the weir are drying out. It's a shame. I've spoken all year about what is causing this. Yes, it's climate change, yes there's a drought, but it is the millions of megalitres that the irrigators are allowed to pump out and traverse down their own man-made little tiny estuaries into their big dams that are up to 200 kilometres square that causes this. The river's quite green. Not as green as what it was in February when I first made a video, but it's pretty green. Even up near the Bourke Bridge, North Bourke, it's a lot browner. You can see the growth, the algae starting to grow. But the one thing I did want to make people aware of here is I come from a background of being quite an activist, not hardcore, except for in the 90s maybe on May Day. Get those animals off those horses. It's what we used to chant when we were down at the Stock Exchange in Sydney, fighting against the police for just everything, for human rights, to end capitalism. But here I am in Bourke, and I found it difficult to actually get people to engage in discussions about the river. Behind closed doors they'll talk and say it's disgusting what's happening, and everybody agrees that it's absolutely filthy what the government is doing in regards to selling off the water, because water belongs to the land. Water belongs to Mother Earth. But when it comes to being an activist, there's really only 1 or 2 people in town that are activists and are constantly fighting for the river. And it's a shame because they are bullied by irrigators, they're bullied by the media, and this is very much a conservative stronghold here in Bourke. And if you think anything outside the right-wing draconian thoughts of what is right and wrong, then you're probably seen as a weirdo or labelled as mentally ill. But yeah, a friend who's an activist in town used to have Save Our River signs outside her fence. Her fence was destroyed. She's been abused inside her workplace. I've been told to shut up. I don't do much except for make videos updating people on what's happening on the river. But people are very much silenced. There's a mini Murdoch, some dude that owns a right-wing newspaper and right-wing radio station that keeps people in the 50s with their music selections and their thoughts. And then there's this just barrage of not being able to talk about the river and not telling our children how they can save the river. Because there's so much trauma in the town that we're facing domestic violence and we're facing drug use and we're facing a lot of crime. And it's a hard place to live. To make a real difference, you have to make a concerted effort to stick it out here for 5 or 10 years. Bourke has been a great place to stay for COVID. There was no COVID. There was a bit of paranoia, which was strange. But weren't we all paranoid when it first came out? Until we learnt exactly what we had to do to keep safe. There's an influx of tourists because overseas travel wasn't allowed to happen, which is great for the town. Brings money back to the people, employs people, face-to-face contact, hotels and in food shops. But even though it's been a great place to hide out during COVID in 2020, it is time for me to move on. There's a huge need in this town to smash the patriarchy, to smash how white men rule and the conservatives decide who is right and who is wrong. There is a need for people to have a freedom of thoughts and be allowed to speak and talk about the effects of what happens when the irrigators take our water. There's a need for people to speak about what happens with intergenerational trauma and how it is affecting our young children. There is such a need. On the brighter side, it's been fascinating to sit and watch the seasons come and go out here and watch the colours come and go, especially at sunset. And for me, it's been amazing connecting with some of the locals. My friends are mostly older than me, and I've gained a good group of people who are involved in a bit of activism through unionism, through supporting and healing other people in their own businesses, and through making connections with people who are less lucky than themselves. They're the people I've connected with, and I think I've made some lifelong friends, and I'm going to be glad to catch up with them someday soon. But for me, essentially, I've got less than a month here. Less than a month in this place in between, where I do have family connections, and I've got soul connections with the earth and with the river. Thank you for watching my videos out here in Bourke. Thank you for listening to my mumbling. And I look forward to sharing my next step, whatever that is, with the world, whether it's via YouTube or whatnot. YouTube has been a strange platform. Didn't expect a few thousand people to watch my videos every now and again. Wow, thank you to people who did. I'm glad. There's one thing I'm really glad I did here in Bourke. It is to share the story of the river and the fight for the river. And thank you for being a part of that journey. Be safe, be humble, be good to the earth and good to each other. Thank you. Bye.